Another Wednesday evening at Grafham Water Sailing Club, back in the 600 for this one. We've got an interesting mix of boats to race against, actually. So we've got 300, as you can see just there. We had two of the 600s out, a bunch of cats. You can see Yellow 4000 there, who I raced against a few weeks ago. Now, the course this week was a bit of an interesting one. Originally, it was going to be Pillar JX, so a triangle, but last minute, they added in M, so there was a bit of a run. But with the wind direction, it didn't really pan out that way. What ended up happening was we had a fairly beamy, at points it was broad, but the top reach was a bit too tight for spinnakers. Bottom reach was fairly tight, and the run was incredibly one-sided and short, as you'll see as the race will go on. So I've got the 300 just above me. We've got the 4000 coming in from behind, as well as all the cats, a couple of the 600s. So I'm trying really hard to just the key thing I'm trying to work on here is I don't want the cats starting to windward of me, because then they'll want to go low, I want to go high. So I'm trying to just defend my lane here without going over the line. The 4000's already gone way too early. They've got a bit stuck in the mix. I'm doing a really good job of keeping this F18 out of the mix here as well. Now, as you can see, we've got Spitfire has managed to get above me annoyingly. So we're off the go there. Spitfire has just got above me, which is just a little bit annoying. We were both kind of frustrated at each other because they were kind of like, I can't get going, as the other cats sail away, and I'm sat there going, I am sailing my proper course, so I'm going to keep going this way. So they nearly got above me, but then I was able just to get a nice little bit, I was just able to work the boat quite nicely and just get myself a little bit further ahead. Now you can see Alistair and the 300, so we've got 600 and 300 there. They've got nice clear air above the two, so I'm kind of thinking, damn, maybe this start wasn't as good as I had in mind, and now I'm getting buried between cats, thinking I can't tack off, I can't do anything. So I'm a little bit restricted into what I can actually do here. Now, luckily, I was able just to really hold my lane here and stop that cat coming over the top, which I was really impressed with. The cat eventually tacks off because the 3 and the 600 go, and I'm thinking, okay, I've got options now. Do I want to bang the left corner, or do I want to tack off and follow them the other way? Now, looking at the compass numbers, the wind was sort of funneling in between this sort of dip in the hill over there, which meant that it was lifting quite along the edge of this sort of channel of wind down the middle. So it did seem to pay, I found, to go to the right-hand side. So I decided to tack off. I believe the cat's already tacked onto the ley line. It's kind of hard to tell. But going this way, as you can see from the shore, I kept getting lifted, and it just felt really good. I'm crossing what looks like the 4000 there, the 300's over there, and I think Alistair went all the way to the ley line. Now, some of the others had sort of clocked onto the whole idea that you can tack onto, just keep zigzagging up that channel down the middle. Now, I decided just to tack onto the ley line here in front of Alistair. I have managed to escape. I actually got quite lucky here, to be honest, because if I hadn't held my lane quite as well, I probably would have got just stuck under the cats, not pointing as well, and just been in dirt. And I was worried about getting lee bowed, but it looked like I actually was able to get out of the trouble, because as we go around this mark, you'll see that the 4000's just ahead there. We've got Alistair behind in his 600. We've also got the 300 who's still coming up the beat. The other 600 is just there under my boom. You'll see them in a second. There's the 300, and the 600's about to appear as well. So I've done quite well here to actually be able to get round the mark first. It definitely seemed to pay to tack off early. That's an MRX. So yeah, now this top reach. This was a bit of a difficult one. I found it really hard to get into the groove for this reach. You'll see that it's sort of quite tight, so I want to get the weight forwards, but it's also just sort of all a bit over the place. So it's like, do I drop myself, risk getting dunked? Do I just ended up working the main like crazy just to keep the boat flat, and even looking back at this, I still didn't quite get it flat enough. I guess maybe what I should have done is just bear away a little bit, go on a slightly broader course, and then head up, because the issue that you'll see in the later laps is the wind definitely dropped off towards the next mark. So I kept getting stuck in holes here. I think I've got it going quite nicely here. Again, playing that rudder just a little bit just to sort of keep the boat flat, bearing away a little bit rather than playing the main, just to keep the power on. So it's going quite well here. I'm thinking, great, I'm creating a nice gap here. Maybe, because they do say the most important bit of a race is that start right. Because once you start a race right, getting yourself into a good lane, into a good position with clear air is crucial. So you've got to work your socks off on that start right. Once you've done that, then you can not relax a bit, but then it's about controlling the race, right, rather than getting yourself into that position in the first place. So yeah, I'm struggling a bit with this reach. I'm trying to work out like what am I doing, and I can now understand why the 4,000 guys were really struggling to keep the power on with the kite. They were just getting overpowered. And so here, yeah, it's just loads of power, but it's sort of quite tight power. Now we're nearly at the next mark, which is a run, but it wasn't really a run because I jibed off and I was still having to sheet the main in a little bit to be able to keep the power on for getting to the next mark. So not the best run in the world. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But I'm catching up to the back of the cats here because I think a lot of them didn't hoist their kites, so they didn't really go that quickly. Whereas obviously this is a good position for a 600, so I've actually caught them right up here. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to get stuck in their dirt, which isn't going to help me from separating myself from the monohulls. Very nice jibe there. We'll see that the monohulls are all working their way along the top reach. Alistair's not far behind, but he wasn't far behind at the top mark, so all is good there. Now, this reach was a weird one because I kept thinking, like, it's kind of broad, but it's kind of not. So maybe I should be on the trapeze. So I actually hook on, but I don't actually trapeze. I'm sort of, like, ready that if I need to just, like, hop out in case... Because I'm worried if I get hit by a gust, I will be trapezing. Well, at least to keep the power on. It worked out that it was actually a lot broader than that, but it was really hard to tell because it wasn't really a run. And then here's one of the Spitfires who had to give me room at the mark, but annoyingly, they didn't really accelerate along this bottom bit. So I got around the mark, got the kicker on, didn't really get any downhaul on, but like this felt pretty broad. So I'm like, right, let's get lower, let's get back, let's just get the boat accelerating nice and quickly. We've still got Alistair close behind, but this Spitfire, right, it's obviously below me too, so I'm keeping an eye on what they're doing because, as you'll see, we kind of get in each other's way a little bit. And where I'm a monohull and he's a cat, we don't really want to sail the same way either. So I'm obviously going quite nicely here. It's looking really good. And then hopefully we'll have a look back in a second to see where on earth Alistair is, to understand are we in a good position, maybe. So yeah, the cat, annoyingly, there's Alistair, so he's gone a little bit lower. I can't really do that because of the cat, but he's going quite nicely. I'm not really gapping him. The gap is staying fairly consistent, but that's fine. The annoying thing about this course was there was only really one area that you could make tactical advantages, right? Which was upwind. That was the only way where you could do something different to your opponent. In the rest of the race, it was just about boat speed, and I'd say, like, boat speed wise, Alistair and I are fairly similar. Maybe I've got a few extra knots in me, but it's the tactics that's the only way that you're going to be able to separate from each other. Now this Spitfire is obviously ahead of me now. I'm trying to figure out how can I go above them. I asked them, do you want to tack, aka do you want to get out of the way? They go, no, I'd like to keep going, which is fair enough, but not the answer I wanted. Alistair's now right behind me. I've had a slightly better rounding because I tried to go above the cat so I could tack when I wanted, but really what I want them to do is tack and then I'll go. So we're basically just communicating with one another to say, you tack when you want because I just want you to get out of my way. He goes for attack, but the thing I haven't factored in is his tiller extension's miles out the back of the boat, so I have to lose a load of height to avoid that. And then I pop my tack in, quite a tidy one for me, but my trapeze is all out of the cleats, so that's not good. Pop myself out. Alistair is now sailing a little bit past me and tacking, I think actually past the ley line for the committee boat, so yeah, right on my tail still, so I'm thinking, right, I've got to do something here to build this gap before we get to the windward mark. What can I do? Now, looking at the compass numbers and the wind channeling down the middle of the lake, it definitely was seeming like going right was probably a good idea. As you can see here, I'm being sort of not really gaining any lifts going to the left. So I decide, all right, let's get ourselves off to that right-hand side. We'll see in a minute that Alistair will sail behind me. Potentially we won't see it, but Alistair's going to sail behind me now, and I'm going to sail off. So Alistair's gone that way. I'm thinking, let's go this way. And as you can see, it lifts and shifts quite a lot, but the lifts are definitely worth it. So here, big lift. I'm running on a much bigger lift than last time here, but it's very backwards and forwards, so you've got to be a bit patient with it. Now, and it's also very gusty down the middle, which was the nice thing, because the gusts were sort of channeling down the middle, and so you catch the edge of the gust, which would be a lift, which was also very good. But I guess it could also potentially work on the other side. So it was heading big time, so I thought, let's pop another one in. Let's head a little bit more over to the other side. So off to the right-hand side, well, back to the left we go. Alistair's gone all the way to the left-hand side, so I'm keeping an eye to make sure I made the wrong decision here. So the other thing to factor in as well is the 300 is sailing on the Great Lakes Handicap, which is about 20 or 30 points slower than they are normally, which means I've got to be about 5, maybe even further minutes ahead in an hour race to beat them on handicap. So while I can't really see the 300 because I've already built quite a good gap, I am still keeping an eye to understand which way they're going up the beat. Obviously, we're sailing in different breeze, but I think that's them on the far right-hand side there. So they've gone... Or maybe that's a cat, 600. I think that might have been Alistair, potentially. Hard to tell. Probably Alistair, I think. So here, got myself to the windward mark. Did a couple of extra tacks here, but definitely worthwhile, because if we have a look back in a second, we'll see that when Alistair was only a few boat lengths behind the back of my transom, he's now, hopefully we'll have a quick look. There we go. I think I've definitely built a nice gap. So top reach, not as windy as the last lap, or it's definitely shifted a bit. So trapezing just off the gunnel here, but it's just difficult to try and work out what to do. Like, do I keep the power on for trapezing? Do I just open the sail up a bit more, like a bit more of a run? I couldn't really decide. And so as you can see here, I'm going okay, but there's just not that much speed going on here, right? So we're going along, not too bad. But the thing that was really bugging me was once I caught up to the back of the slow boats, Alistair's now pretty far away. Pretty happy. I'm thinking, great. I'm going to go around the jibe mark. It's all happy days. He can't catch me on the reach. Oh, how I was wrong. Now, this happened in the second lap and the third lap, as you'll see. As I got towards the mark, as you can see, I'm not really moving. I'm now sort of going a bit more on a run, so I get the kicker off, get the Cunningham off. But I'm sort of in a hole, nowhere near as fast as I was in the last lap. However, if we have a quick peek behind us, look who's turned up. Who got a nice gust that took them all the way to the back of my boat. So now I'm popping my jibe in thinking all that hard work I did upwind, Alistair's now caught me up. And he was in a ridiculous amount of pressure. And I talked to the 300 sailor too, and they had one of those reaches where they just had no pressure whatsoever. So it's just, what can you do? It's just sailing, right? Now, down the run, again, trying really hard here to get the weight forwards compared to last time. Now just defending it, right? I'm going for a bit of height just to get clear air off Alistair because he's quite close to me now. But then I'm going to go around this bottom mark here and just focus on making sure I can get a clean rounding and get sheeted on. Now we've got a bunch of slow boats again we're going to catch up with as we finish the lap. So I'm just factoring that into my decision making here on, based on the last lap, right-hand side seemed to be pretty good. But if there's a bunch of slow boats creating dirty air on the right-hand side, maybe it shouldn't go to the right-hand side. I can't quite decide on what's best. So going really nicely along here, happy days and all that. But it's still difficult to know what's best. So there's a wayfarer here who's having some difficulty with 2 ribs. So just got to watch out for that too. A little bit of dirt, I guess, off of that too, just to factor in. But yeah, we're nearly at the bottom reach, but there's a lot of lasers now to work our way through. I mean, Alistair will have to work his way through them too, but I don't have a cat to sit in my way who's going to sail around at a similar speed to me despite being a much faster handicap. Oh dear. So we're going along. I'm thinking, right, they've all tacked fairly early, understandably, because you want to get onto that right-hand side pretty quickly, but I want to go for clear air, so I'm going to go to the ley line for the committee boat and then pop my tack in. Alistair again, right on my transom. I mean, a little bit further behind than last lap, but still frustrating based on how far ahead I got up the beat. Let's see if I can do it again this lap, or if he ends up still rounding not long behind me. So... oh, bit of a slip there, no drama. Along we go, no drama. So here we go, getting upwind as we go. Okay, going through the line. Now, Alistair went a bit further and tucked the committee boat. So when I pop my tack in, I actually have to cross behind him. Solo here, there's a NACRA or an NF18 who ended up beating me on handicap in the end because they did an extra lap. Now, I ended up doing my tack here, no problems, but Alistair was pretty close behind. But as you can see, I'm just getting lifted and lifted, but it's so up and down, so you've got to be really on your toes because it can be, 1 second it can be okay, next second it will throw you in. Okay, so getting pretty close to the ley line now, thinking, yeah, I'll take it all the way to the right-hand side, pop my tack in, no dramas yet again, hook myself on, pop myself out. So, on the ley line. I've gone a little bit past just because of all these slower boats. Just want to be able to keep that power on and focus on not getting stuck underneath them. Nothing worse. Absolutely nothing worse. Now, this reach was hard because I've still got a load of slow boats to get past. So I decided to go quite high. Here I'm trapezing, no dramas again. But maybe it's difficult because if I went high, then it means I have to go low to get to the mark, and as a result, I slow down. So you can see here, I've got speed, and I would say I've got a good gap on Alistair. We didn't look back, but as you can see here, Alistair is very, far away again. I've built a gap compared to what I had at the bottom mark, but you'll see that Alistair's in a beautiful bit of pressure, and we're all sat in this hole here, just sort of trundling along, you could say. Not much I can really do about it, right? I'm thinking, maybe I could take some kicker off, maybe I could do this. At points it feels like it could trapeze, so then I got to get the kicker back on again. It's a nightmare. It's so up and down. So I'm trying really hard to keep the power on, right? Looking at these lasers, it's just the breeze. It's the issue with evening sailing. The breeze is gradually dying. We're nearly now at that next mark. I'm thinking, right, okay, let's get the kicker off, get some downwind going, and then we'll go for a jibe. But annoyingly, Alistair has caught right up to me yet again, despite the fact that, again, I don't feel like I did anything particularly dramatically bad. You know what I mean? It's not even that... I think Alistair's doing a great job here, don't get me wrong, but it's like, is he doing a great job that means he can make a distance of a half a leg in a matter of seconds, or a matter of, half a minute? Like, am I really going that much slower? It's called I'm in a hole. I need to accept the fact that there was probably nothing I could do about it. But again, we're in the same position as last time. What I need to do now is defend my position rather than, having him come past. So I'm deciding, right, let's just get the sail out. Let's pop the jibe in a second. So just going along nicely. Let's pop the jibe in now. And then again, I think I go for a little bit of height. I think what would have paid is if I'd gone low early, because the pressure seemed to be kind of lighter, high, further towards the shore. But as soon as I hit the run right, it felt like there was a good bit of pressure and the boat was going much nicer. So potentially if I'd gone a bit lower, I would have stayed out of the hole. Maybe. Never know. That's the joys of sailing. Now, I'm getting myself sheeted back on because we're about to go round J yet again. Getting back out on the rack. Now, time to send it one last time. So, just sort of keeping an eye on what Alice is up to. Going quite nicely here. Again, it's dropping off, standing further forwards than I was previously because I'm not quite planing as aggressively as I have been. But it's, looking okay, I would say. Now, again, just so up and down. Now we're going into our final lap now, so around the bottom mark, let's have a quick check. Have I managed to build a gap on Alistair, or has he caught me up again? All to be found out. Let's have a look. So Alistair still going down the reach, so I've definitely built a gap since he caught me up. Good stuff. I think I went down the run a little bit quicker than him. I was sheeted in a bit more, and I think that just helped me get a little bit more speed. But now, I've managed to do my tack just as he rounded, so not bad. But he's still on my tail. I can't let that get away from me. So we're going through. I tacked as soon as I got past the lasers because I knew that I wanted to get onto the right-hand side ASAP, so there was no point spending longer going on the left-hand side than I needed. Now, Alice has tacked early here. I'm looking at these lasers, late, sorry. There's two lasers here. These are the lead lasers. I'm thinking I want to stay out of their dirt too. So the other one hadn't tacked yet, so I thought let's tack now before they do. There's Alistair. He's going to go behind me quite comfortably. But I'm thinking, right, this right-hand side has to pay. It has to pay. It's worked so well the last couple of times where it just keeps lifting and lifting and lifting. But this time it was a little bit different. It just didn't quite work as I expected. So I got a good lift there. It's looking quite good. But I was watching the lasers too to see what they were doing. And the thing is, they can just tack however they like. But I got headed so much there. That was like 20, 30, 40 degrees, I think, in the end. I think it was 40 degrees. I went from 60 on the compass to 100. So I thought, I've got to tack on that. I can't keep sailing. I mean, it might switch back. But I think I was just... where I tacked a bit earlier than last time, I was just getting a little bit out of that channel that was coming down between the dip in the trees and the hills. So I thought I've got to get back into the channel, decide, right, okay, it's heading again, so it means I must be in the channel. So let's tack back, get ourselves back onto the right-hand side and see if I can make it go. And I was looking back at Alistair and he was absolutely storming up the left and I thought, oh no, I'm going to cross. He's going to cross me once we get to the ley line. It's all going to go wrong. But as I was going, it kept lifting and lifting and lifting. And I thought, okay, I feel good. Got a good groove. Let's tack onto the ley line and let's see where I come out. I thought, damn, this upwind's not going to work out. Now, the lasers were intentionally tacking through the channel in the middle. They were just staying in that channel of breeze and just popping tacks in because they can. They can just pop them in, whereas I need to be a little bit more strategic about when I put my tacks in. So you can see here they're just tacking and tacking and tacking. This one gets such a good lift, this guy on the left here, Jamie. He's like, I've obviously overshot big time, but that's okay. He looks like he's not going to make the mark. I'm thinking, oh, if he can make that, jammy git if he makes it. And the thing is, I think he does. Look at this. He just about squeezes round. Oh, dear. So, away we go. Back onto the reach. I'm ahead of Alistair. I've built a good gap. It did pay to go up the right-hand side. I could have played it safe and just gone the way he went because he couldn't have got past me, but I'm also handicap racing here. Got to make sure that the 4,000, which is now slower by 6 points on handicap, and the 300, which is slower by like 60 points, which is probably more my concern. I was more concerned about the 300 because when I finished, didn't really feel like they were that far behind, but worked out that I did beat them by about, I guess, a minute or so in the end, which is all that I needed. Now, this reach, again, a lot more breeze on that last lap. Just the boat felt like it was going. I was worried that Alistair yet again was going to catch me up again, and that was going to really wind me up. Luckily, not the case. So, look back. Let's have a quick check. So, Alistair's still sailing around with a laser. I'm thinking, oh, good. I'm nearly at the run now. So I can get out of this potential hole. I also didn't sail as high, didn't have all those slow boats. So actually, if we think back to it, I only had to go around boats on the second and third lap. So as a result, I went higher. That's probably why I caught the cat in the first lap, because they were going quite high, because they do. And I caught them by going lower. So I guess the takeaway is I went too close to the shore. Like here, I've got loads of speed, but I'm also going much lower here, I feel like. So, interesting takeaway. So, just 2 more legs to go. Let's pop the jibe in. Let's have no dramas. Not my worst jibe in the world. Not the best jibe in the world, but it was okay. Alistair's still going along. Great. This is exactly what I need. Now, just playing the main, just trying to get a little bit of sheet in just to help me get down the run, just a little bit. And hopefully, you know, without too much drama, we'll get ourselves around that bottom mark. So, here we go. No problems. Now I've just got a sheet on and do the reach. But it's looking lighter already. I mean, it didn't just hit me with loads of power. So just waiting for it to hit me with a gust. There is a bit of pressure on its way. It's just about sending it to the finish, getting the weight not too far back, keeping it relatively forwards is the key thing here. But as you can see, working really nicely. So away we go. No problems. Just got to get myself to the finish. I do catch up to a few slow boats, so there's a flying 15 just to leeward of me. I'm thinking I can get overlap on them, no problem. And even if I don't, in a cheeky sense, I'm going a lot quicker than them, so I can probably get ahead of them anyway, and therefore they don't even have to give me room. So the overlap, yeah, no problems. But they're starting to head up, and I'm thinking, guys, can I squeeze in, please? I was hoping to go above this D0, but where I came in at quite a hot angle to go miss the 15, I had to go below them, so I was hoping they would tack. They didn't. But because I had a lot of momentum, I was able to just punch out into a clear bit of air, and it was okay. They popped their tack in, so I'm thinking, great, let me pop mine in. I just need to get through the finish line. We can see Alistair there, silhouette in the distance, still going down the reach. So I've definitely made a gain on him in this lap, which is the key thing I needed. Obviously, we're in the same class, so I just need to be in front of him. But I was a bit worried that on one of those beats where I was doing other things that I ran the risk of him getting past me. But I'm not match racing him, remember? I'm handicap racing. So I want to beat the 4,000 and the 300 as well. Yeah, going quite nicely here. It just got to send it through the finish line. Yeah, it's looking like it could be a good one. D0 is probably unhappy with my dirt, but what can you do? Yeah, wow, what a race in the end. That was a lot happened in that one. The 600 inland just happened. I've got a bunch of race footage, so if you want to see that, some close 600 racing, make sure to subscribe. You can click the button here on the channel now. And yeah, thanks for watching.